Hello and welcome to my interview podcast series where I have the pleasure of chatting with some incredible musicians around the world. Hi, my name is Marija Bubanj and today I'm thrilled to introduce to you my special guest. His name is Lester Bartlett. He is a pianist and piano teacher from Hull, England. Lester and I first connected on Instagram. His Instagram handle is Life of a Musician 1981. And through our shared passion for music, we've decided to bring to this exciting collaboration a Q&A where we dive deeper into his life as a pianist. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and please stay tuned for more interviews with amazing musicians. So let's start from the beginning. Lester, what inspired you to become a pianist?
What inspired me to be a pianist? I think my first memory of that was definitely when I was in an assembly at the primary school that I attended when I was a young boy, and I heard the piano being played in assembly, and I just fell in love with the sound and just wanted to be able to play the piano. I didn't have any aspiration at that point, obviously, to be a concert pianist or a musician of any kind. I just fell in love with the sound and the instrument and wanted to be able to play it. I think as I got a little bit older, I remember watching the Leeds International Piano Competition, which my future piano teacher, Dame Fanny Waterman, was the founder and main judge of. I remember watching the final of that one night and seeing a pianist called Leo Macaulay play the Beethoven First Piano Concerto. And I'd never heard anybody play so kind of musically and so beautifully. And that was definitely another big inspiration to me in terms of wanting to be a pianist.
Wonderful. Now, my next question to you is, what are your strengths and your weaknesses as a pianist? And how do you balance them?
Yes, I would definitely say that my strength as a pianist is my ability to sight read. This also goes back to primary school, where this was a second primary school that I was at, and they always had a hymn that we used to sing in assembly, and once they'd cottoned on to the fact that I could play the piano, used to make me play the hymn every assembly, every week. And that was often one that we'd not done before, so it was usually sight reading, so I did that on quite a regular basis. And I account my ability to be able to read as well as I can on that grounding from a very young age. But because of that, and because of the ability to do that and learn things quickly and even perform sight reading when needed, I've very rarely used my memory. And my ability also to improvise has improved over the years as I've played around with it. But the memory thing has always been an issue. Obviously, pianists generally are expected to perform from memory, which is something that I've just never been comfortable at, or something that I've ever given much time to get better at. So in terms of a balance, I don't think there is necessarily a balance. I think it's a case of knowing what your strengths are and playing to those. So it means that I'm very useful in terms of being an accompanist, which is what I love doing the most when it comes to playing the piano. So either with little rehearsal or stepping in late or learning a piece quickly in order to accompany somebody, I find that a challenging and I find it challenging and really rewarding having that skill, but do sometimes regret that I can play very little other than Queen from memory.
If you can have your favorite pianist to be your mentor, who would that be?
Favourite pianist to mentor me? That's a really difficult question. I've had some really, really good teachers in my time. If I were to pick somebody that I hadn't been taught by to mentor me, I think it would definitely be Leo Macaulay, who I'd mentioned earlier, who I have actually had a couple of sessions with at one point and thoroughly enjoyed them and learnt so much from him. Another one was when I went to music school. There was a particular teacher that I'd hoped would be my teacher, Heather Slade Lipkin, because I knew that she was a very similar style to the one that I was with at the time before going to music school, which was Fanny Waterman. But I'd say the two most memorable teachers that I've learnt the most from would be Fanny Waterman, because from her I learnt about hard work and dedication and really breaking things down and spending an incredible amount of time on a very small amount of music. Yeah, the other one was Christine Brown, and she was good at making you work hard, but she was also good at putting an arm around your shoulder when she knew that you needed support and encouragement, and just a different view of playing. And I've found even in my teaching that I've taken bits from everybody like that I've had lessons with and incorporated it into my own teaching.
What piece of music has challenged you the most, and how did you overcome it?
So the most challenging piece that I've ever had to play and that I've overcome, I've had so many, particularly with accompanying, and the downside to having the skill of being a good sight reader is you get to the point where people just have this expectation that you can play anything. And there are, of course, occasions where I'm given something with very little notice because they believe that this is possible. That would require some practice and is beyond my sight reading capabilities. And all I can do in those instances is put the amount of practice in that I can at the time. And if I really don't have enough time to get it to a level that I would like, but I have to play it, I just have to look at what I can play and what little bits I can miss to make it performable and able to support the person that I'm playing for. I've played a couple of Liszt pieces. I found Un Sospiro quite a challenge. It's one of those pieces that I've performed a few times where if I dig it out of the cupboard to perform again 4 years down the line, it feels like it's going back to 50% and I have to do a lot of practice to get it back somewhere near 100%. Whereas generally speaking, most things, if I've performed them before, I could probably put them in front of myself and perform them in a concert without playing them beforehand. But that was definitely one of them. The other weakness in a way that I've got is that I've got quite small hands. So I can reach an octave comfortably. I can't really reach much more than that. So I do find a lot of things like Liszt really, really difficult. La Campanella is something that I've always wanted to play, but never quite had the patience to stick at and figure out how to get my way and my fingers around it because of my kind of short hand span. And the thin variations on the Paganini tune as well, that's another one that I'm going to have to learn one day, but have resisted.
When it comes to performing nerves, and I'm sure many musicians can relate to this, what kind of preparations do you do right before you step on the stage when you have to perform at a recital, concert? What do you do to perform as a confident pianist?
Yeah, preparation and kind of dealing with nerves before a concert. I mean, obviously everybody's different with this, and particularly when I was younger, I used to get, well, I went through different stages. I was really confident initially as a youngster, and then as I started to get older, I feel like the nerves hit in. They kind of set in a little bit and got worse and worse. It got to the point where I really felt like it didn't hinder my performance as such, but I didn't enjoy performing because it became just about getting through a performance. And I had a realisation at a concert, I can't remember what it was, and I was just playing one piece as a solo within this concert. And I remember sitting there waiting to play, thinking, this is just absolutely ridiculous, what am I doing to myself? And I just thought, what happens if I just try thinking to myself, I don't care? And I relaxed, and I played much better. That doesn't obviously mean that I don't care, because the caring comes in the work and the preparation that you do leading up to a performance, which obviously you have to do. But on the day when you're performing, nerves don't necessarily benefit you or serve you in any shape or form. So I have learnt to do that over the years more and more. I must admit, after we had that long break from COVID, I'd completely forgotten about how it felt to be so nervous until I performed for the first time after that long break of COVID. And it took took some working through to get that confidence back. It doesn't mean I'm never nervous. I'm always a little bit nervous, but I think the way to deal with it is gaining the confidence, which actually just comes through the preparation and knowing that you're prepared and knowing that you can play something, or if you do know that there are tricky passages in something, that you know how to get out of that, or how to survive it should it go wrong, so that it doesn't all just collapse. But yeah, I've done different things over the years as well. I went through a little phase of just listening to music that kind of got me pumped up. But generally speaking, I prefer not to talk to people. I prefer to be in my own little headspace and not be bothered, and just almost try and ignore what it is I'm about to do, just switch off from everything around me, try and empty everything that's in my mind, so that when I go to perform, that's what I'm there to do.
We all have some favorite performing stages. Mine has been Chicago Symphony Orchestra Hall, where I performed with a group of students. And I wanted to ask you, what has been your favorite or most important performing stage, and what did you perform?
Interestingly, I don't really have a favourite performing stage as such because of the stage and the place that I'm performing in. To me, what makes a special performance for me in terms of where I am is the quality of the piano. I could be in what would be considered a not very nice venue, but if it had a really sensitive piano that I could be really musical with, and which you could also get lots of power out of, then that's always going to be my favourite place to be. I love playing on a Yamaha, and also a Steinway. Who doesn't? And I remember there was once when I did a concert and I was told in advance, you'll like this piano because it's a Steinway. And when I got there, it was a Steinway upright that was about 100 years old, that hadn't been tuned for a very long time, and the kind of action, the speed at which the keys kind of come back after you've pressed them in particular, was so slow that when I got there, I actually had to go home and pick up some more music and change my program because the keys just wouldn't respond quick enough to do what I'd prepared, thinking that I was going to be going and playing on a Steinway piano.
I noticed you like the group Queen, and yes, it's a fantastic group. And I wanted to ask you, why do you like that group?
Why do I like Queen? Well, I like Queen for almost the same reason that I like Mozart. Not in a disrespectful way, but they're very predictable and they just knew how to write a good melody. And the almost predictability of the chord progressions or what you're about to hear next is so good because it's exactly what is pleasing to the ear. But I initially came across Queen. I remember I was in the living room as a young boy. I can't quite remember how old I was, but I just remember my mum doing the ironing, watching a video of Queen live, and just remember asking who they were and sitting and watching it, and pretty much just fell straight in love and just kind of in awe of the presence that Freddie Mercury had when he was on stage.
I noticed you like to perform duets, and if you could perform with a favorite musician, who would that be?
If I could perform with a musician that I'm a fan of, that is a really, really, really difficult question. I think the trouble is that I can think of so many people that I would love to perform with. And I think that I would probably, if it's only people that are actually alive still that I can pick from, I think I would have to go for Brian May, the guitarist of Queen.
And my last question to you is, which piece of music describes your personality the most and why?
So even though I've already said that I love playing on Steinway and Yamaha pianos, I would say the piano that best describes my personality would be the Bechstein, which is one that I've grown up with because, I mean, all pianos are different, obviously, but just generally speaking, I find that the Bechstein is somewhere in the middle ground of those two pianos. The Yamaha is really, really bright and powerful, and the Steinway is just, you can get a beautiful melody out of that without very little effort if you know what you're doing. Whereas I do feel like the Bechstein is somewhere in the middle, which is why I think it kind of reflects my personality really, because sometimes I'm really lively and energetic and let's do this and very, very productive. And then sometimes I just want to be quiet and listen to some beautiful music.
So I hope you enjoyed this interview with Lester, and please stay tuned for more amazing interviews. Again, my name is Marija Bubanj, and thanks for watching.